Hello, welcome to my channel once again, and if today is your first time, consider subscribing to the channel. If you've already subscribed, then you are once again welcome. So in today's tutorial, we're going to look at how we can calculate year-on-year growth for a business. So mostly businesses want to know their year-on-year growth in terms of how, current year, compared to previous year performed. So how do we do that in Power BI? So in Power BI, we use DAX to do that calculation. So I already have a data set loaded into Power BI, and that's what I'm going to use for this demo. So the first thing that I will do is to create a date table. So to create a date table, I'll go to modeling and I choose new table, and I write a DAX to create new table. So I'll call this a date table, and I'll extract the date from the current sales data that I have. So this sales data has the following columns. It has the date column and the sales column. So I'm going to create a date table from this date column. All right. So what I will do is I'll use the calendar function in Power BI. Then I will call the minimum date. So minimum, then I call what? The date in the sales table. Then I also call the maximum date in the sales table. All right. So this gives us, when I'm done, I'll just click on enter. So this gives us another table called date table. And before I can connect the two tables to, pull out records, I need to create a relationship between them. So in Power BI, we use the model view to create relationships. So these are the two tables that I have, the sales table and the date table. So I'll just drag this and drop on the date to create a relationship. So these are the common columns in both tables that I want to use to create the relationship. Okay. So now that a relationship is created, I can connect the two tables and pick records from them. So I'll go back to the report view. And the next thing that I will do is to calculate the total sales. So currently we only have, let's look at the data set. So currently in the sales data, we have the date and the sales amount, but I need the total sales. So how do I do that? So I will right click on the sales data and choose new measure. Then I'll create a DAX function to do that for me. So total sales, and I'll use the sum function to calculate the total sales. So I'll choose the sales column, then enter. Okay, so this creates a total sales measure for me in the sales data table. So now that I have my date and also the total sales, I can calculate the year-on-year growth. All right. So let's see how we can do that. So I right click on the sales data again and I choose new measure. So I'll call the name of the measure as year-on-year growth. Okay. Right. Then I will use a variable to hold the current year. So current year sales. So the current year sales will be equal to the total sales. Then I'll create another variable. So I'll create another variable for the previous year sales. So previous year sales. All right. So that will be done by using the calculate function. So calculate followed by the total sales, comma. Then I will use the same period last year function to calculate the date. So the same periods last year returns a set of dates in the current selection from the previous year. So that's what I will use. And I will call the date column from the date table that I created. So date table, then I call the date like this. Okay. Think have an error here. I need to wrap this in. Okay. So there's what I want. Then I'll close the brackets. So basically, we've created a variable. So variable is just like a container that holds data for us. So this variable current year sales holds the total sales which we calculated. Okay, so the previous year sales variable also calculates the total sales for the same period last year. So this function is helping us to get that information. All right. So the next thing, that now that we have our data stored in variables, we can now return the function that will calculate the year-on-year growth. So I'll use the return keyword, then followed by the condition if. So if previous year sales is not equal to 0, so there is a condition. If it's not equal to 0, then calculate the year-on-year growth, and that will be done by subtracting the previous year sales from the current year's sales, which is divided by the previous year's sales. So that's the formula for calculating year-on-year growth. Then we multiply it by 100. Okay, comma. All right, so we provide the blank function which ensures that we don't get blank values. All right, let me press enter to see what we get. Okay, so now the year-on-year growth is also calculated. So now we have all our calculations and we can start building our report to see the change. So I will use a table for this report. So I'll just select the table visual. Then I choose this date followed by the sales and year-on-year. So this gives what? The year-on-year change. Let me format the table to make the values bigger. Okay. All right. So now you can see that let me put off the quarter. So I'll come here, date hierarchy, and put off the quarter. So this gives you This is the year-on-year growth change. So between 2022 and 2023, this is the change. So I'll put up the day so that we see for the year. So the change is 74.64%. So in January, we had 5,600, and in 2023 January, we had 9,780. So the change in year-on-year growth is 74.64. So basically, this is how you can calculate year-on-year growth for sales in Power BI using DAX. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section, and also please consider subscribing to this channel. See you in the next class.